مش عارف. الو، تست تست. الو، مرحبا. كيف الصوت؟ طمنونا. السلام عليكم. أهلا وسهلا فيكم جميعا، مساكم سعيد. أهلا وسهلا جابرييل ودبرث إزمة، كل الشباب الموجودة، كل الشباب الطيبة، أهلا وسهلا. ترى أنا مش عارف والله هذا الإيفنت ولا هذا، مش عارف. هم حاطين إنه على قناة إكس بوكس من يوتيوب، بس مش شايف أي دليل إنه راح يكون في إشي لايف صراحة. مش عارف، هيني بدي أضل نعمل ريفرش نشوف، يمكن هم ما أتوقعش راح يكون لايف، يمكن هو مسجل. أتوقع راح ينزل على ال 11. شو توقعاتكم هيك قبل ما يبلش؟ إذا كان راح يبلش صراحة مش متأكد. والله المفروض يا سيد علي، أهلا وسهلا فيكم بكل أهل العراق. سيد علي المفروض على يعني نحكي فرق التوقيت، المفروض يبلش على ال 11 هلا، توقيت الأردن يعني. kind of funny games. هم هاي فتحت على kind of funny من اللابتوب، ولسه قاعدين بسولفوا مع بعض الجماعة. لو تحكي ليش بتتابعها على kind of funny games؟ اللي بعت لي، مين اللي بعت لي صراحة؟ سيد علي المفروض على ال 11 يعني الآن كمان هالدقائق المفروض يعني. قولوا في والله إشاعات، ألف برافو، في إشاعات بيقول لك إنه في جهاز محمول راح يكون مايكروسوفت. أتوقع لأنه في زي هيك بعض التسريبات طلعت قبل يعني اليوم الصبح طالعين بيحكوا لك إنه ممكن يستغلوا لعبة بالوورد. بالبورد يعني يستغلوها من فكرة إنه تكون معروضة على أكثر من شاشة. أنا صراحة أتوقع الأمور كانت مبالغة عن يعني الأيام اللي مضت، أكيد كلكم شفتوا الدراما. يعني هي الألعاب اللي أنا شاركتكم، أنا عملت فيديو قبل فترة قلت لكم إنه في 3 ألعاب راح يحكوا إنه راح تنزل على الأجهزة الثانية، بلاي ستيشن ونتندو. يلا متحمس صراحة نشوف شو مصايب راح يكون جايب لنا فيل سبنسر، الله يستر. ايوه على وشك يبلش، على وشك جايز. خلينا نشوف نعمل ريفرش. يلا على وشك جايز، الله بيعينكم استحملونا. هل راح تبيع الاكس بوكس؟ ما اتوقعش صراحة، اعذروني مش قادر اجاوب على الكل يعني، بس انه تنتورة اهلا وسهلا فيك، واهلا وسهلا بهاء، عقيق. عارف اذا انا فاتح القناة الصح والله. أنا عم بعمل ريفرش، اعذروني بس عم بضايقكم يعني. المفروض هلا يعني على 11. اه وينه؟ ايش مش طالع عندي؟ اوه مش مبين عندي، مش عارف هو بلش ان كان ده فاني جيمز، بس ليش انا مش. آه اعذروني شوي نرتب الامور. بوكس بزنس. وينه؟ اه انا مش عارف صراحة. خلينا ثواني نحول الامور. شو كيف الامور؟ شفتوا الستريم؟ انا عم باخذ من قناة تانية صراحة. كيف الصوت؟ سامعينه منيح؟ لا مش سامعينه.
say if either of those titles are Starfield or Indiana
صوت اموره
Jones?
تمام
They are
شباب؟
not
طمنونا الله يرضى
Starfield.
عليكم.
Interesting. Okay.
Well, what was the criteria in
كيف
how the
الصوت؟
team
سامعينه
was
منيح؟
thinking about selecting those
لا
four
مش سامعينه.
titles?
Let me start a little bit outside of
Say
that,
if
and then I'll get to
either of
the
those
four
titles are
specific
Starfield
games that we're
or
talking
صوت
Indiana
about
اموره
right
Jones?
تمام
now. They
شباب؟
are not
طمنونا الله يرضى
Starfield.
عليكم.
Interesting. Okay.
Well, What was the criteria in
كيف
how the
الصوت
team
سامعينه
was
منيح؟
thinking about selecting those
لا
4
مش سامعينه.
titles?
Because let me start a little bit outside
Say
that
if
is reaching
either of
more
those titles
players
are
that our
Starfield
games are
or
having
أموره
as much
تمام شباب.
success as
أمونا الله يرضى
possible.
عليكم.
And I do have a fundamental belief that over the next 5 or 10
how
years,
الصوت
the team
سامعينه
was
منيح.
thinking about selecting
exclusive
those 4
games, games that are exclusive to one piece of hardware, are going to be a smaller and smaller part of the industry. And that's not some great insight, because if you look at the last 10 years and what the biggest games are today, it's a natural place. Whether it's one console and PC, multiple consoles, mobile console and PC, you see big games landing on multiple platforms. And we want to be a great platform for creators that are trying to realize that potential.
It's going to be multiplayer stuff with battle passes.
There's a question on these four specific titles.
The new Halo.
We looked at games that are over a year old, so they've been on Xbox and PC for a while. A couple of the games are community-driven games, new games that kind of first iterations of a franchise that have reached their full potential, I'd say, on Xbox and PC. There's always
طمنوني صراحة الصوت
franchises that
حاسس
we
الأمور كانت
obviously want to
بكركب شوي.
continue to invest in. Part of having the
عارف أنا
ability to
بدي
continue
أحضره
to
من
invest
الإكس
is
بوكس.
that
أنا
the
بحبش
business
أستعمل
behind
اللابتوب.
those franchises continue. We think it's important that these service-based games that have communities behind them, that they can have confidence that they're going to exist in the future. So 2 of them, kind of community-driven games that will end up on other platforms.
Are we playing like Game Showdown right now?
Yeah, right.
Like, let me buzz in. I'm going to guess.
إيه لقيته.
I'd say 2 of the other games are smaller games that were never really meant as a place to just drive more business value out of those games, allowing us
خلاص هيك الأمور
to
تمام
invest in
شباب.
maybe
اعذروني على اللخبطة.
future iterations of
لقيته
those,
أخيراً.
sequels to
خسرنا
those,
بعض
or just
الجمهور
other
أكيد.
games like that in our portfolio. And when we don't damage Xbox and we
هذا
can
لايف
grow our
كمان. عم
business
بحضر واحد
using what
ثاني.
other platforms have and to help us with that, we're going to do that. And that's really the story behind these 4 games. And last thing I'll say, looking forward, you know, I think there is an interesting story for us of introducing Xbox franchises to
مفروض هلا
players
فيش تكرار
on
بالصوت.
other
اعذروني أنا ما انتبهتش كنت عم
platforms
بسمع
to get
صوت
them more interested in Xbox. We think there's a good
أكيد رح
brand
ننزل
value
مقطع إن
for
شاء الله
Xbox
بكرة
there. So
تخافوش.
4 games,
يعني اليوم
no
رح
promise
نسهر
beyond
نحاول
that. So if you're on
نغطيه
those other
وبكرة
platforms and you see
يطلع
these 4
مقطع
games
يكون
coming,
نحكي
please
فيه
don't take it as
ملخص.
some signal
بس هيك
that
فضوا يعني
everything's
إذا
coming.
حابين
It's
تسهروا
not.
معي أهلا وسهلا.
And we're going to learn.
ناش
So
تزعجكم.
when you are thinking about the future and this concept of live service games, games that can benefit from bigger audiences, new audiences,
ننزل
how
مقطع
does that apply
خفوش
to
شباب.
future titles and
خلينا
how you're
نشوف.
applying that criteria there?
وراح يكون.
Yeah, there's really no fundamental change to how we think about exclusivity. We
المهم
just came out
الصوت
of Developer
الآن
Direct,
كيف
which was an
الأمور إن
awesome
شاء الله.
show
أنا صراحة كأني
where we
فاتح
showed
قناة
great
ثانية
games that are
مبدئيا
coming
برضو.
to Xbox and PC and cloud, which really makes them accessible to hundreds of millions of people. So it's this kind of, we're really focused on a couple platforms and what's going to show up there. But our key of play the games you want with the people you want, anywhere you want, when everybody plays, we all win. These have been part of our strategy for years
عن
and will
سياسة إنك
continue to
تلعب
be.
وين ما
Our
بدك
focus is
بأي على أي
on
جهاز.
how do we continue to grow the
anytime.
games industry by reaching more players in more places, and how do we grow Xbox as part of that? Xbox is a hardware platform, Xbox is a publisher of great games, and Xbox as a platform
هاي
for the
تينا إذا
world's best
بتعرفوا
creators.
إيرانية هاي إذا
And then
بتعرفوها.
knowing that, how do we think about our first party games and Game Pass?
Yeah, well, to build on what Phil just said, one thing I would add, as you were talking about growth, is just that we've sort of seen this inversion over the last 5 years where it used to be that the platform was the biggest thing.
That's right.
And the games would sort of tuck in within the platform. Today, big games like a Roblox or a Fortnite could actually be bigger than any one platform. And that really has changed the way that we think about things. So in the midst of all that, I think we at First Party can come back to sort of some core principles. First, that all of our games will be on the Xbox platform. Second, all of our games will go into Game Pass on day 1. And third, we know that Game Pass will only be available on Xbox. So there's sort of starting points for us. As Phil mentioned, there are games today that you can play that only can be found on Xbox. And at the same time, we want to bring more of our games to more players. So we're going to continue to look at kind of moving aside, though, from some of those and thinking more about what does it really mean for the player. To me, the 2 key things are cross-play and cross-save. Those things allow us to deliver on the promise of Xbox, which is play with your friends where they are,
بأكد
play on the
موضوع إنه
devices
في
you
ألعاب راح
want,
تنزل على
play the
أجهزة
games
تانية
you
يعني.
want. So that is really only possible at a practical level when you know that your saves and your player are going to be able to move across all those parts. So not all of our games today are necessarily built to take advantage of that. There's still be some games that don't.
لغاية اللحظة يعني
As we
بيأكدوا
bring more
فكرة إنه في
teams
ألعاب راح
into the
تنزل على
Xbox
أجهزة
family,
تانية
there's
بس ما
some
بيحكوا
catch
شو
up to do
الألعاب.
as we get there. But that
بس بأكد إنه راح
cross-play,
يكون في ألعاب بس على
cross-save is like
جهازهم.
so
يعني هاي نقطة
fundamental to
جميلة.
what we're doing, and I think is something that we as first party get such a good benefit from being so close to the platform.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's one of the things, like you said, all of our games are always in Game Pass. And so I'm excited to announce, you know, with the coming together that we had with Activision Blizzard King, that Activision and Blizzard games are coming to Game Pass,
الله أكبر.
starting with Diablo 4 on March 28th, which
Diablo
I'm
4 راح
super,
تنزل
super
بشهر
excited to share
3
today.
الجيم
And
باس
it's all
guys.
part of our commitment to make
الله أكبر.
Xbox, the
هاي
Xbox
بوادر الخير
experience and the
شباب.
games that we build is widely available as
سارة
possible.
هاي
So now the
عزيزة على
34
قلبي يا
million
سارة.
Game Pass members can all enjoy the fantastic experience of Diablo 4.
Amazing. Can we come back to the point, Phil, you mentioned at the top, this isn't really a change in strategy for us. Can you recap for me how it isn't?
Yeah, and I thought both Matt and Sarah did a really nice job of talking about what we're doing on Xbox, where we're going. You know, if you take a platform feature like Xbox Play Anywhere, which has been a promise that we've made on our first-party games, that you can buy our game once, you're going to get play across Xbox and Windows. I think we're the only platform that does this. That makes it possible for you not only to play with your
الإشاعات
friends wherever
مبالغة
they
guys.
are,
الإشاعات
but to
مبالغة.
know
إن
that
شاء
you
الله
actually
لغاية
have
الآن
multiple
الأقاويل
entitlements to
يعني
the game.
حاسسها إنه
I think that's
مطمئنة.
a technology I would love to see applied to more platforms. But it is this view that people are going to play Xbox in multiple places. Whether it's play the games you want with the people you want, anywhere you want, whether it's content, community, and cloud, whether it's when everybody plays, we all win. Like we've had different taglines, different strategy, kind of words that we've used, but always with this view that Xbox is a platform for creators who want to reach the most players. Our investments in xCloud, our investments in franchises like Minecraft and now Call of Duty and other large franchises so that we learn how to build those. This has been a strategy that we've been
نحكي
on for
الزبدة
I'd say a decade.
الأساسية أول شيء
It's not
مطمنا
about one
يعني سواء كان
device.
مات
It's
بوتي
not
ولا فيل
about
سبنسر
games in
إنه راح يضل
service
في
of a
ألعاب على جهاز
device,
الإكس بوكس
but
أو عفوا
rather
ألعاب ما
the
راح تقدر تلعبها إلا
devices
بس
that
على
people
جهاز
want
الإكس
to
بوكس.
play on should
بس
be
في
in
ألعاب
service
ثانية
of
بدهم
making the games
يشاركوها
as
مع
big and
جمهور أكبر
popular as
يعني.
they possibly could be.
وسارة
Because
بونت
really
يعني
a healthy
أعطتنا صدمة
creator
حلوة
community on
إنه
Xbox,
ديابلو
a
4 راح
healthy
تنزل على
creator
شهر
community
يعني بشهر
gaming
3 راح
all
تنزل على
up
الجيم باس.
is the thing that all of us as game players should be voting for, because that's the thing that will lead to the best long-term success and growth in this industry.
And my understanding just from listening and learning from you three over the past few weeks, just understanding what's happening with Xbox, is that we see trends with player behavior where people are playing on multiple devices. That is the reality. And we have put some games out on multiple platforms before. So my understanding is that that's been good for players. How does that come back to the business with all of that in mind?
Yeah, as you said, we have shipped games on other platforms. In fact, realistically, if you look with the addition of Activision and Blizzard and ZeniMax, we're one of the largest game publishers on PlayStation. We're one of the largest publishers on the Nintendo Switch, especially when you put Minecraft into the equation as well. And now we're one of the largest publishers on mobile platforms as well. And that's not something that we want to back away from.
بس عم بأكد الآن من ضمن حكي إنه راح إنهم يعملوا ببلشنج أو ينزلوا ألعاب على أجهزة ثانية.
And that they can play those games where they want to go play. But we do understand the business success that Xbox has to have. Us as leaders in this business, the system today, the system that all companies that we play video games from, is a world of you got to be growing your business. Growth in our Xbox business is critical to the long-term health of Xbox. Many people know I've been on Xbox for over 20 years, and I want to make sure Xbox is in the best position for the next 20 years. That means healthy player community, healthy creator community, and healthy business. So when we look at opportunities to allow more people to play, more people to engage, more people to buy, more people to subscribe, it's all about putting Xbox in the best position. And our hardware is a critical component of that. The absolute best experience somebody has on Xbox is hardware that your team builds. And then
ديابلو
people play
حلوة
them. But
والله
that's not
أنا
gonna be
جربتها
everybody.
بالديمو
We
لما
fully
نزلوه
accepted
كان
that
ديمو
we're gonna
تجريبي
have
صراحة
Xbox
عجبتني.
players across all kinds of
bad.
devices.
So I think a lot of people think about 2023 as this incredible year for gaming, and in a lot of ways it was. There were some really amazing releases that I think we all enjoyed. But what were the signals behind the scenes that maybe indicated how we wanted to look at the future of Xbox and how we kind of keep up with the industry?
Yeah, such a good question. And I think it's, as people who care about the industry, which I assume is people who are watching this, it was an amazing year. Some great launches, some of the games that I think will stand the test of time and people will be talking about a decade from now. But it's an industry that didn't really grow. And what happens when an industry doesn't grow? You end up with some job eliminations, which we had. We had even our own hard decisions to make about building a sustainable business for ourselves, but in no way were we alone in that. When you think about a healthy industry, I want players who believe that they will find the best games on the platforms that they love. I want people who invest their careers in working here to feel like this is a place that they can be successful. And that really is down to being part of an industry that is growing. If you listen to Lisa Su, the AMD CEO, she'll say that AMD-powered consoles are likely to decline.
They're not saying anything. I'm so annoyed.
Amazing set of games coming in 2024. But if we don't get to growing as an industry, the industry will struggle. And today there's really two choices on how do you grow the industry. Do you say I have a fixed number of players, the players that we have today, and do I find new ways to monetize those players to get more money
عليكم السلام
from the
سيد
players
أحمد.
that I have? Or do you think about how do I expand the business I have by finding new players and adding those to the base of players that already play? Our focus on Xbox for the last decade has really been on that
لغاية اللحظة
point
كله حكي
of how do
دبلوماسي
we make sure
دبلوماسي
Xbox is
دبلوماسي.
growing,
الشيء
growing for our players, growing for our creators, so those people are finding
يعني الزبدة
success
الوحيدة بس إنه
on
لعبة
our
ديابلو نزلت على
platform,
الجيم
which will
باس.
grow the Xbox business and put Xbox in a position to be very strong for years and decades to come.
Matt, earlier you were talking about these growing gaming communities, how they're incredibly large and comparable on such a different level when we think about console audiences. Like you mentioned Roblox, you mentioned Fortnite. So how are we're
لغاية
obviously
اللحظة
thinking
يعني
about our
حكي إنه جيم
responsibility, our
باس راح
hardware
يضل موجود،
responsibility
إكس
is
بوكس راح يضل
supporting the
موجود،
growth
ألعاب
of gaming
حصرية راح تضلها
communities. How
موجودة،
has
بس
that
إنه
actually
في
shown
حكي
up
عن
for the
ألعاب
players?
راح
Are there
يشاركوا
other
فيها
games we can speak to
أجهزة
from our
تانية ما
portfolio?
حددوا بلاي
As Phil
ستيشن بس
mentioned,
حكوا
I mean,
other
two of the biggest
platforms.
ones for us, Call of Duty and Minecraft, I mean, they are driven just from the bottom up by the communities of people that play those games, which is so great. I think about it for the player community, it comes down to where are the friends, where are the people you play with, and then equally important is where have you built up your library of games, right? Where have you invested? Where's that library? I think those two things probably are some of the biggest influences on where people choose to play and what devices they choose to play.
Yeah.
When we think about, on the other side, the developer side, just any game developer wants their game to find the biggest audience possible. That's just the
الشخص
nature
اليمين
of
سارة ما
building a game. You
تفوتي
want
هذا.
people to enjoy
هو
and
صار
participate
رئيس
in what you've made.
استوديوهات
And
إكس
I think
بوكس
we're
تصنيع
in a unique
المحتوى.
position to deliver on that just because we are the platform. We build hardware. We've got a first-party games group, and then we've got a system that ties that together, that brings together your friends, your progression, your achievements, all of that. And I think that's really what has contributed to the momentum behind some of these communities.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you look at,
So-
just step back and you look at the history of the industry, we've moved from a place where it used to be that someone built and launched a game to accelerate hardware to actually the things we do with our hardware and with our platform are all in service of making those games bigger. And we think about that across all of the investments we make, the consoles we build, the investments we do with things like cross-play, cross-progression, the things that we're doing with cloud. How do we actually give more options to game creators so they can have the greatest success? I think one of the fun recent examples about this is actually Power World. You know, Power World was able to launch, they were a game preview, they launched in Game Pass, they also simultaneously launched in Steam. And through the combination of those things, you know, Pocket Pair was able to have this outsized success, and it was the largest third-party Game Pass launch ever. And that's all because we give creators options on how they can launch their games. We've got subscription, we've got retail, we've got free-to-play, we've got game preview, we have the consoles, we have our experience on PC, and they can access all of those things. And when we step back and we just look at the performance of our platform all up, we know it's working. We're at the highest level of users on console, the highest level of users on PC, the highest level of users on cloud ever. We have double-digit growth rate on PC and cloud, places where we're enabling creators to actually reach new players beyond the console ecosystem. And that's why we're leaning into it and doing more, because we see all those signals.
So we're talking about the role that hardware plays for creators, for the games and those communities. What about the role that hardware plays for us as a business, for Xbox?
When we look at our hardware, it really is,
الشاشة الصغيرة بدائرة هذا أنا فاتح قناته بالغلط.
Like the most flagship seminal experience of Xbox.
It also represents
a developer target. Our developers can build the specs of our hardware, and we invest to make sure they know when they do that the games are going to run great on our hardware, but they're also going to be able to be accessed across any screen because of all the other investments we make. So we're giving them an easy way to access as many players as possible. And we actually have more creators right now building for Xbox than ever before by nature, thousands of them by nature of those investments. And we got more to come. There's some exciting stuff coming out in hardware that we're share this holiday, and we're also invested in the next generation roadmap. And what we're really focused on there is delivering the largest technical leap you will have ever seen in a hardware generation, which makes it better for players and better for creators and the visions that they're building.
And then we're talking about hardware too. There's these other considerations that are really important to our community, probably to each one of ourselves as well. When you talk about library, because I want to dig in on that a little bit more. You know, as we talk about cloud in the wider entertainment industry, there's conversations about streaming. How is that impacting how I own my content that I've invested in? So what can we say about our stance around game preservation?
Yeah, you know, one of the highlights for me of being in this position was getting to stand on stage when we announced back compat coming to Xbox One. Like, it was fantastic. People were reading the teleprompter before I could read it. Slow reader, and just feeling the energy in the auditorium as we were saying that and online. You know, one of the cues I think us as being part of Microsoft take is looking at Windows and how Windows over decades has maintained software compatibility with things that are built on it. Like, I can still go back and play some of the games that I love playing on Windows from decades ago, and it will still run. And we try to bring that same view to consoles. It's harder in console because the line between what the hardware is and what the game is in consoles is traditionally, it's tighter, which makes compatibility, you end up doing these generational compatibilities that we've built. But I will say compatibility, the ability to not only play the games, but my saves are still there with our cloud save systems to try to keep the services up as long as we can so that people can play, is a tenet of what we are as Xbox. It's at our foundation. And when we look at future hardware generations and what we're going to support, making sure that we respect, which is the word I use, respect the investments that people have made in Xbox going forward is fundamental. And the fact that you get entitlements when you buy a game from us on both Windows and Xbox also means you have the ability to play that game across a multitude of devices, which I think furthers the compatibility of the games that you own.
Can we go back to what Xbox stands for today? I think we've pretty much covered all of the elements, but if you could break it down for me.
You know, when you play on Xbox, what we're saying is you're playing on a platform where you know the biggest games in the world are always going to be. You're playing on a platform where you get to access Game Pass. And all of the games from our incredible range of studios will always launch in Game Pass day one. And you're playing on a platform that's dedicated to you, like player-first features, cross-play, cross-save, cross-progression, backwards compatibility, being able to play your games in your library anywhere you want because of the investment that we make in cloud gaming. And so you're playing somewhere where you're investing and you know you get to take the games forward with you and across all of the screens where you are. And I think most importantly, Xbox is a place where you know when you're investing in Xbox, you're investing somewhere that is dedicated to making games more successful and creators more successful so that they can invest more to bring even better experiences to you all of the time.
لغاية اللحظة صراحة بدي أترجم لكم حكي أنا بس عن ميزات جهاز الإكس بوكس ونزول ألعابه على الجيم باس مباشرة إمكانية كروس بلاي
kind of amazing now to look out across all the studios we've got and just be reminded that we're now one of the biggest development organizations in the industry. What does that mean for players? It means that the biggest games are going to continue to come to Xbox. And this 2024, the year coming up, We've got more than 10 major releases coming up. Great stuff. Hellblade 2. We've got Diablo expansion. We've got Avowed, Ara, the Indiana Jones game. And there's more in development, which I think we're going to be able to share more about at our June showcase coming up pretty soon.
Well, I guess I should get ready to work on that show. Well, thank you all for showing up on the podcast today, and we'll see the rest of you this June.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tina.
Thank you.
The user creator of developer.
Games in this podcast range from E to M.
All right, hang on.
بس
So when you play on Xbox, what we're saying is
خلاص هذا هو البودكاست.
Want to respond to what customers want and what our players and creators are looking
ولا
for.
حكوا شيء.
Yeah, I stand by the report, guys. Like,
ولا حكوا شيء. ولا حكوا شيء. يعني ما فهمناش صراحة. والله أنا عارف. ولا حكوا شيء. يعني عارف الأمثال العربية بطلت تضرب راسي، بس في مثل إنه معناه أنت عم تحكي نفس الحكي. ما في شيء، بس يعني نقدر نحكي باختصار إنه الجماعة بيقول لك إنه في ألعاب راح تنزل على أجهزة تانية، هذا إشي من الواضح إنه راح يصير. والله المشكلة أنا ما لقيتوش على القناة، والله أنا عارف. خليني أشوف القناة تبعتهم. دائما حظي مش عارف، منحوس أنا. بس هو هذا 22 دقيقة فيش إشي. مش شايف يعني هم مبدئيا يعني صراحة إذا بدنا نلخص الإيفنت ده ممكن نعتبره إنه بالنهاية يحكوا لك إنه في ألعاب حصرية راح تضلها على جهاز الإكس بوكس. ما تخافوا يعني يا جماعة، اطمنوا، راح يضلوا مبدئيا يعني هدول الناس اللي بيهووا ببالغوا خلينا ما نسمع لهم. يعني مش ضروري نرد على كل واحد بيطلع على الإنترنت في مكان يكون، مع احترامي لهم وشخصهم الفاضل. بس إنه بالنهاية الجماعة حكوا لك إنه حصريات راح تضل موجودة، بس في ألعاب راح تنزل على أجهزة تانية. يعني حكوا راح يكون في ألعاب على مالتي بلاتفورمز يعني، وأكدوا فكرة الماينكرافت إنه استوديو موجانج هم الاستوديوهاتهم الحصرية اللي هو عفوا الطرف نزول ألعاب ماينكرافت على أجهزة تانية. نقطة بيقول لك إنه إحنا جماعة بنحب نشارك ألعابنا، ودليل برضو بكرة كول اوف ديوتي يعني بدهم يعني يفهمونا، ممكن أنا أتخيل صراحة ممكن بدهم يفهمونا إنه كول اوف ديوتي ما راح تكون حصرية لجهاز الإكس بوكس، مش بسبب إنه الاتفاقيات اللي عملوها وال10 سنين هاي اللي بتلزمهم إنه ينزلوا لعبتهم أو ألعاب كول اوف ديوتي على الأجهزة المنافسة. فبضل يعني النقطة الثانية الجيم باس إنه راح يضل موجود فقط على الإكس بوكس. الجيم باس هاي أكدها مات بوتي إنه راح يكون موجود فقط على الإكس بوكس والبي سي طبعا أكيد، يعني البي سي جيم باس. مشان هيك ما نفكر إنه راح نشوف الإكس بوكس عفوا صار أو الجيم باس صار على بلاي ستيشن زي ما كان في بعض الناس. يعني الأمور أنا بعتبرها مطمئنة يعني إن شاء الله إنه الأمور راح تكون مطمئنة. ألعاب حصرية راح تضلها موجودة، جهاز الإكس بوكس راح يضله موجود. سارة بوند برضو أكدت إنه راح يكون في يعني نحكي بعض التحديثات على الأجهزة، بعض التحديثات على مستوى الهاردوير على الإكس بوكس راح تصير في فترة الأعياد، يعني نحكي نهاية السنة. فممكن أشوف يعني كشف عن جهاز إكس بوكس يكون المحدث ريفرشمنت هذا تبعها النسخة يعني زي إكس بوكس مثلا سيريس إكس برو أو شو بكان يعني. وبشهر 6 من الواضح بالإيفنت تبعهم اللي راح يصير بشهر 6 راح يكون في مزيد من الألعاب. وبرضه الشغلة الحلوة إنه ديابلو 4 الآن يعني نحكي بشهر 3 إن شاء الله راح تكون متوفرة على الجيم باس، فبما معناه إنه راح نشوف ألعاب أكتيفيجن يعني نحكي أكتيفيجن بليزرد راح يبلشوا ينزلوا من بعد شهر 3 يعني نحكي بداية الخير راح تكون في شهر 3، بعدين إن شاء الله من بعد شهر 3 بنشوف ألعاب تانية، ممكن ألعاب كول اوف ديوتي ما كانت يعني نحكي من الشغلات الثانية. ممكن أنا صراحة بيهمنيش إلا كول اوف ديوتي صراحة من ألعاب اكتيفيجن. المهم يعني ما في إشي حكوا، يعني ما حتى ما طلعوا وحكوا مثلا لعبة هاي فاي راش راح تنزل على البلاي ستيشن، ولا سي اوف ثيفز، ولا لعبة بنتمن زي ما كان في كتير إشاعات. يعني حتى في طلعت إشاعات قبل ما يصير هذا الحدث بيقول لك إنه راح يكشفوا عن الألعاب هدول الثلاثة، إنه راح ينزلوا على ويف أولى وويف ثانية. مش عارف، طلعت الإشاعات مغلوطة، بس إنه الأمور مطمئنة ممكن نحكيها إن شاء الله. الأمور مطمئنة شباب، ما في إشي نعتبره بخوف. هاي هي. مش عارف شو رأيكم أنتم، ما أعرفش إذا كنتم متابعين ولا مش متابعين. الحصريات الإكس بوكس ما راح تنزل على سوني الوقت الحالي. يعني هم يعني ما نهوا أو ما نفوا هذا الحكي. ما يعني مش بدي احكي لك انه قطعوا القطع، يعني نحكي حط شيء اكيد سواء فيل سبنسر ولا مات بوتي ولا ساره، ما نفوا الموضوع كليا. يعني حكوا انه في العاب راح تكون نحكي متوافره على الاجهزه الثانيه، بس ما حددوا شو هي الالعاب. بس هم ركزوا على فكره العاب ماينكرافت، العاب كول اوف ديوتي. هذول الالعاب اتوقع راح يضلوا ينزلوا على جهاز بلاي ستيشن. ممكن نشوف العاب تانية ممكن، بس انا اتوقع انه راح تبلش الامور بالالعاب الصغيره، واللي هي منطقيه بالنسبه لي. اتخيل ان الالعاب الصغيره هي الاولى انها تبلش تنزل على الاجهزه الثانيه. يعني بالنهايه شركه وهمها الارباح. يعني احنا دائما بنطلع عليها نظره انه جهاز وانا العاب لإلي وانا لازم اتملكها، واكس بوكس وبلاي ستيشن. بس بالنهايه لما تفكروا فيها يعني كل الشركات بهمها مصرياتها، بهمها شو اللي بدخل لها من مصاري. يعني عندها لعبه موجوده كلفتها ملايين، عمليات التصنيع والتطوير والشغل والمطورين ورواتب شغالة قيد العمل، وناس بيشتغلوا عليها بالدعم الفني. فهاي اللعبة ليش ما أنزلها على جهاز تاني أستفيد منها. وبلاي ستيشن يعني مبيعاتهم قوية، يعني ما تنسوش الأرقام مضاعفة. أنا بكرة راح أنزل بالخبر إن شاء الله ملخص الأخبار، نحكي إنه بلاي ستيشن فايزة على الإكس بوكس ب2-1. يعني كمية نحكي عدد المبيعات ببلاي ستيشن 5 بالنسبة للإكس بوكس سيريس إكس تعتبر الدبل، بايعين 54 مليون، وبليز الاكس بوكس يعني المفروض انه بايعين 22 لغايه 27 مليون. لما تيجي تحكي انا عندي 54 مليون زبون ممكن يستعملوا بلعبتي او يشتروا لعبتي، لو نحكي 10% منهم 20% منهم، انت دائما يعني بتفتح لحالك مجال جديد. فانا مش شايف فكره عاطله او سيئه انهم ينزلوا العاب، بس انه الفكره انه يعني بضل موضوع الحصريات هو موضوع حساس بالنسبه لبعض الناس. انا اولكم يعني بحب جهاز الاكس بوكس وبحب تكون العاب حصريه لنفتخر فيها، بس من ناحيه او اطلع فيها كأن رجل اعمال وصاحب مؤسسه كبيره وشركه كبيره قد الدنيا وعندي ملايين مصاريف وبدنا نعوض ونربح ونزيد. يعني الفكره جميله او مربحه حتى ممكن نحكي انه منزلوا العاب على الاجهزه الثانيه. وزي ما حكيت هو العدد مغري، لما تحكي انك انت عندك 54 مليون زبون جاهزين بيستنوك انك انت تنزل العابك. مش عارف، شكلي عم بخسركم، انا مش ضايل عدد كبير من المشاهدين، وشكلي عم بزهقكم حياتكم. عشان اطول عليكم، الوقت اصلا متاخر كتير. طبعا انا بكره ناوي اعمل فيديو ضمن ملخص الاخبار، يعني ملخص اخبار الاسبوعي كل يوم جمعه. اذا انت بتتابعوا قناتي بتعرفوا في ملخص اسبوعي بكون نهايه كل يوم، يعني ان شاء الله يكون نهايه اسبوع راح نحكي فيه بشكل اكثر. بس انه الامور مبدئيا اطمنوا، ما في يعني داعي نبيع اجهزتنا الاكس بوكس ونحول كلنا بلاي ستيشن. ان شاء الله جهاز الاكس بوكس باقي بقوه ان شاء الله. والسنه هاي 24 اتوقع راح تكون هي السنه اللي يعني نحكي نوعا ما طلع الاكس بوكس منتصر فيها على البلاي ستيشن. ما بحب على مبدا الحرب وانه الفوز والخساره ومين طلع فايز ومين طلع خسران، بس انه يعني نحكي هاي نحكي الافضليه انا شايفها راح تكون لجهاز الاكس بوكس من ناحيه اول شيء عدد الحصريات تبعته اللي هي من استوديوهات الطرف الاول، والشغله الثانيه كل الشغلات الجميله هاي اللي بيعملها الجيم باس. يعني هيني لحد هلا انا صراحه مش مبلش ريسيدنت ايفل 2، وهي 3 نزلت، وهي ديابلو 4 راح تنزل بشهر 3. يعني الواحد صراحه مش ملحق. الله يكون بعونكم، يعني يعطيكم العافيه، وشكرا لحضوركم معي، وسامحونا على اللخبطه، دائما ببهدلكم وبعذبكم معي باللايف ستريمز، بس هينا بنتطور شوي شوي ان شاء الله. نتمنى لكم ملخص، يعني ملخص على خير، تنتوره جنني. نتمنى لكم إن شاء الله مساء سعيد وتصبحوا على خير، ونشوفكم إن شاء الله على خير إن شاء الله بكرة ونلتقي. السلام عليكم.